The more that you listen, the more you will hear the sound of your fear. She's listening. She's listening.
Undertone. Dun, dun, dun. So I got out to theaters again and, well, I saw Hoppers. I think it's a fine movie. It's cute, well animated, fun environmentalist moral, but I just don't have a lot to say about it right now. I probably could if I thought about it a bit more, but I have a lot more to say about this other film. So instead, let's talk about this disappointment of an A24 debut film, Undertone. Right away, I want to explain that clearly this movie isn't bad mechanically. It's shot and acted extremely well with some fun moments of disturbing audio and use of blank space, but it struggles with cohesion. The story is lacking, missing entirely in some moments, and has so many dropped ideas that it may as well be a misplaced shopping list.
Oh my gosh! A floating shopping list!
The ideas and metaphors included in this are interesting and deserve to be talked about, but unfortunately, the execution story-wise just isn't up to snuff, which is a real shame. That being said though, there is still a lot to like and quite a lot to dislike about this movie. Let's get into it a little bit. Undertone is the feature debut for writer and director Ian Tuason. Apologies if I butcher that last name. With a budget of only $500,000, I think he pulled off something effective. The tone, the look, and most importantly, the sound of Undertone are all fantastic. There's an air of discomfort and malice following the lead around. The emotions are probably the biggest thing that this film gets right, and that, along with some later disturbing visuals, really helps to sell the product. I don't think it's enough to fully fix a lot of the story issues or lack thereof, or sufficiently convey the ideas Tuason wanted to portray, but it is a good attempt for a first film. That being said though, I'm getting ahead of myself as usual. What is this movie even about? Should you even bother seeing it? Well, that depends. I know, it depends on a lot of these, but still. I think before buying your ticket to this movie, you need to understand what kind of movie this is. It is short, at just over 90 minutes, so you'd be forgiven for thinking that maybe it has a quick pace, but nope. This is a slow burn character study. I know, right? Fun. The film requires you to take your time and read between the lines. It honestly sort of expects you as the audience to do the heavy lifting for it to make assumptions and piece together a lot of its dropped ideas, which is kind of annoying, but still. Undertone follows a young woman named Evie, who is caring for her mostly catatonic mother on her deathbed. While watching over her mother, Evie is also running a horror-themed podcast with her friend Justin, who is a voice on a Discord call, presumably living across the country. Their relationship is never explored, so whatever. Anyway, while staying there, Justin reveals that he received a strange email from an untraceable address that contains 10 phone recordings of what appear to be a young, expecting couple that quickly devolve into nightmares the longer the two listen. And as they listen for the podcast, Evie starts to experience surreal nightmares and starts to question what's real and what is not. Bit of an in-depth summary there, but you can see the idea and subsequent lack of ideas. There are a lot of story beats here that are just never explored or they feel dropped. For example, at one point, Evie finds a disturbing crayon drawing in a drawer next to her mother. Instead of reacting to it or questioning where it came from, even though the camera hones in on it, she just ignores it. Almost like she never saw it at all, even though it was shown very prominently. She doesn't even mention it. Other moments are more vocally distinct, but are also ignored, meaning that People call them out, but then don't do anything about them. I feel like a lot of these moments boiled down to time. The film already had a small budget and more than likely had an extremely strict shooting schedule because of that budget. So I can see a lot of these plot points being scrapped in order to cut down on the shooting time, but that ultimately leaves us with a bare bones film that is already as slow as a slow burn can get. Most of the film is spent listening to these disturbing phone recordings and watching Evie move around while caring for her mother. That's fine, but we could have a little bit more here. Sometimes we'll get a moment of emotion from Evie, but mostly it's just her reacting to whatever is going on or whatever she's listening to. And while the sound design of the film is fantastic and leads to an incredibly well-made sense of impending dread and horror, it never pays off. The film also lacks a proper resolution, cutting out at the end of a pretty entertaining climax, leaving no real payoff for that climax. It feels lacking, and it's kind of annoying in that regard. But honestly, lacking is a good word for this film's story overall. There are a lot of moments here that are just never properly explored, most likely due to the cutting for time that I mentioned. Evie's relationship with her mother is a big one. That feels especially egregious. We barely know anything about this dying woman outside of the religious imagery in her room. Evie barely opens up about her at all, and despite listening to one short voicemail from her mom early on, never ever really brings her up, despite to say that she's tired of caring for her. But okay, it's strange because there are plenty of easy ways to convey their relationship that shouldn't have taken much time at all. The voicemail was a good touch, but why do we only get one of them? And why is it so short? Maybe her mother recorded old phone conversations between them. Then the audience could have understood their relationship better. The bare bones examples we get, or I guess example we get, is technically enough to get an idea of that relationship, but it isn't nearly fleshed out enough. It's just, here's an idea, roll with it, or don't, I don't care, I'm moving on. It's weird because the film does have some really good points to it, besides the mechanics and technical aspects. The theme and the metaphor and the ideas in this film are wonderful, but they really require you to think about them in a deeper way. The point of the film is struggling with relationships, mostly mother and child, but also religious and romantic. Evie is dating some random dude, but also seems to have a history with her podcast co-host, who I think is also in a relationship, but seems open to Evie. They have one conversation to convey this early on in the film, so maybe I'm stretching that idea, but still, it fits. The theme basically boils down to feelings of guilt and responsibility to caring for someone who you don't feel very attached to. Evie, as far as I can tell, never had a great relationship with her mother, so why is she caring for her? Why doesn't she just have her mother admitted to hospice instead of spending multiple days feeding, cleaning, and taking care of her with no nurse? This also mirrors the childcare aspect too, of like a mother taking care of a baby. Evie at one point is asked about potentially being a mother, and she clearly doesn't feel ready for it, despite doing the exact same thing that she would be doing with the baby, with her mother, like I pointed out. It's weird. Themes on religion, from parent to child, are also just slightly touched on. Evie doesn't seem religious at all, but her mother clearly very much was. The couple on the phone also seems somewhat religious, but not overly. And the film touches on the idea of hidden messages in things related to children, including prayers, and also that adults don't always have the best intentions with children, which is kind of messed up, but kind of fun. If this movie had more time, I can see these ideas being addressed properly and explored more thoroughly. For what we get, they are only barely touched upon, leaving the audience to have to fill in a lot of these fragmented ideas to try and get some kind of message across. I couldn't tell you what the movie is trying to say about these ideas, just that it is having them. It's so frustrating in that way. It's also frustrating because every other part of this movie is great. The house is a solid set for a bottle film, with a fun layout and interesting background details. The audio recordings we listen to as well throughout the film are ridiculously well done. This movie just sounds really damn good. The audio is disturbing, and while there isn't much going on visually while the audio is playing, the movie takes the time to hone in on Evie's reactions and slowly pans around to dark shadows and corners, or takes a voyeuristic approach to watching Evie from the other room. Sometimes she'll look to the side like maybe she thinks the audio she's hearing is in the room with her or walking up towards her, even though she is the only one in the house, aside from her sleeping mother. Sometimes the visuals will follow with what the characters on the audio are doing. Like if they get some water, it'll hone in on the kitchen sink. It's simple but effective. And also the acting here is really well done. This film is essentially a two-woman show, but one of those women is catatonic, so it's mostly just the Evie show. Evie is played by Nina Kiri, and she clearly understood the assignment. She has a lot of fun reactions and plays Evie believably enough. She is very much a woman going through a lot of emotional turmoil, but is struggling to put on a brave face and distract herself with her hobbies, which just so happened to be playing the skeptic on a horror audio podcast. Gotta get into character with it. She is fun, and I think she's a great lead to follow in that regard. As for anyone else, I don't know. Justin, her co-host, is okay from the audio bits we get from him. He's played by Adam DeMarco, who you might recognize from old Disney Channel TV films and The White Lotus. He really isn't given much to do though, besides to voice act like a scared dog, but I guess it fits. Evie takes the lead, but the film is focused on her, so it makes sense that DeMarco's Justin would be soft-spoken and nerdy to be a foil to Evie. She's the strong arm, he's the dreamer. It's fine, I just wish we got to explore more of his character. We learn practically nothing about him at all, which is kind of really annoying. The last two actors I can really mention, because this is just a small movie, are the voices on the phone recordings that Evie and Justin are listening to. A couple named Mike and Jessa, played by Jeff Young and Kiana Lynn Bastidas. They have probably the most fun roles, besides being on camera, that are playing this couple in these supposedly haunted audio tapes. You never see them, but they do a great vocal performance that feels believable enough. It kind of feels like you're listening to Paranormal Activity. There's definitely a sense of chemistry between the two, even though they can't do much outside of just speaking. Still, they are a focal point of the film, and it really helps that they commit to the horror as best they can. I just wanted a little bit more. And that's my issue with this film in general. I want more. There are so many drop plot lines here and there, and missed opportunities to explore Evie's character and deepen the metaphors and the symbols the film's trying to do, but instead it leaves most of those connections up to the audience to make. And that's all well and good for other films that have stronger bases to do that, but this one didn't do enough to justify that. It's artsy, sure, but it's not that artsy, and it's slow enough that it could have picked up the pace in some moments in order to fit some more of these details. I think, anyway. It's what I would have done to make this film better. It's frustrating. Mechanically, this film has it all. Some great audio, some incredibly well-done cinematography, including one-take shots that are very well done, impressive acting from the lead, and an incredibly well-realized sense of building dread and horror. But because the story is so bare bones and fragmented, the film kind of falls apart. Honestly, if it wasn't going to include more story beats and moments to fill in the gaps between them, the movie should have been condensed into a 20 to 30 minute short film instead and thrown up on YouTube for free. Just start with showing Evie caring for her mother and then do the podcast with all of the phone recordings instead of taking breaks. It would be cleaner and just as effective, and it could have been used as a proof of concept in order to get the funding to expand the film even further and then get a 2-hour production made. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. That's just my idea. Maybe I have a completely wrong idea and the whole behind the scenes thing is something else entirely, but I wouldn't know. Either way, I think the movie is fine enough It's just lacking fundamentally, but the bones are good, and again, everything on the technical side is pretty damn good. I say go see the film if you're curious, just know that it's slow and that you'll have to do most of the heavy lifting when it comes to connecting plot and metaphor strings. So ultimately, Undertone gets a 6 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. Yeah, I know I could talk about hoppers, but I don't really want to. I did watch another movie called Vulcanizadora, which isn't Spanish. I know it's a Spanish word, but it's not in Spanish, and that might be the best film I've seen of the year so far, and also one of the darkest. I might do a review for it, I don't know yet. Just know that the first half hour is incredibly difficult to get through, but it is required. So if you want to try watching that one, you gotta sit through some schlock. I'm sorry. But as for Undertone, I don't know, I really wanted more from this. I think it had a good advertisement campaign. It kind of reminded me of Longlegs in that regard. Bit of a letdown, just like Longlegs was, but I'll give credit where credit's due, and again, mechanically, this film just works. It's really well shot, really well acted, the audio design is incredible, but everything else is inherently lacking. So that sucks. I don't know, I wanted more. I wanted this to be expanded, I want to follow these dropped plot threads. I don't know. What did you guys think? Did any of you see it? I know a lot of people on TikTok saw it. Some people said it's really, really disturbing. Other people said it's what a letdown. So I don't know, where do you stand? What do you think? What do you think of my review here and my thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. After that, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a video, and yeah, that's it. Have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya.
I'm just a ghost in your stereo, the fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost song on your own, and I'm just a ghost in your stereo.